Hello, bankers. A very good morning to all of you. Welcome back. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to all of you. So, quickly join in so we can start our today's discussion. All right, guys. So, today we are going to discuss concept summary from your ABM Module C, which is all about credit management. Okay? And in this particular session, we are going to discuss डिटेल्ड एनालिसिस ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स ठीक है तो आज का जो टारगेट है आपका now every day morning at 7 a.m. we will be discussing these particular concepts ठीक है so like we can prepare well for the upcoming examination. This exam is completely driven by the concept things and all ठीक है so we will prepare these particular concept very well so we can score well ठीक है so like basically the idea is first we will go through the concept part and then we will revise things with the help of MCQs, case studies and all. If you talk about the unit 17 and 18, I have already done one set of practice for these two units आपका ठीक है तो जहाँ पे हमने already एक set का practice आपका किया हुआ है ठीक है I hope आप लोगों ने वो देखा होगा अगर नहीं भी देखा if you have missed that particular one so you can watch that particular ठीक है तो now everyone guys quickly join in and if you have any doubts any queries and all so you can mention into the comment section okay so initially there are some topics which will require more time otherwise जो छोटे topics हैं we'll be covering 2-3 topic in a particular session every day at 7 a.m. we will be having this kind of revision session and all so जिससे कहीं ना कहीं we can have or we can build base आपका for the upcoming examination ठीक है these sessions are generally dedicated to June 2025 CAIIB examination but those who are planning for December as well ठीक है so they'll also get a fair idea about these particular things ठीक है so your unit number 18 analysis of financial statement which include your आपका financial statements or the final accounts basically this particular topic is all about the final accounts which include profit and loss account and a balance sheet and आपका cash flow statement apart from that also it is something around the interpretations of these particular reports that means they have include ratios as well and cash flow and fund flow statement ठीक है so the overall idea आपका users of financial statements ठीक है basic concepts used in preparation of financial statements ठीक है accounting standards legal position regarding the financial statement balance sheet profit and loss account cash flow statement fund flow statement projected financial statements ठीक है purpose of analysis rearranging the financial statement techniques आपका creative accounting and related party transactions if you talk about this particular one see this is all about the introduction then we have accounting standards concepts and conventions I hope you guys remember from your JIB AFM examination itself so we have so many concepts like entity business entity concept money measurement concept realization concept आपका आपका convention of conservatism so these all are generally part of this one ठीक है then balance sheet uses आपका overall format profit and loss account cash flow statement these are very important areas then fund flow and then आपका analysis which include ratios and they have included आपका current your liquidity ratio solvency ratio and profitability ratio which are generally part of your curriculum ठीक है so one by one we will be discussing all these particular things concepts wise आपका ठीक है so guys when it comes to the final statement ठीक है so our financial statement or final accounts ठीक है financial statement or final accounts ठीक है it include basically we have profit and loss account with that particular one we get to know about the net profit or net losses for the accounting period and then we have balance sheet which is also known as position statement so the statement the equation is asset equal to liabilities plus owner's equity then we have cash flow statements which include inflow and outflow of cash and we have a further bifurcation for cash flow statement these are cash flow from operating activities financing activities and investing activities ठीक है these three documents or these three reports आपका which are generally part of the final accounts of a company and they are mandatory in nature. ठीक है, accounting standard 1 as well as Indian accounting standard 1. ठीक है, तो जिसके हिसाब से these are the minimum requirements which companies need to prepare and publish. ठीक है, apart from this we have note to accounts or other areas also. ठीक है, so now in this particular session we are going to discuss these one. So there are few things which you need to remember. Financial statement, balance sheet at the end of the financial year, and the equation is assets equal to assets equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. Okay, so this is your equation. Okay. Why assets are always equal to liabilities plus equity? That this we have already discussed. Okay. These are the sources of funds and this is the application of funds. Okay. Profit and loss account, which we generally with this particular help we generally get to know net profit or losses. Okay. And how we calculate this particular one? Net profit is equal to gross profit plus other income. ठीक है, other income minus indirect expenses. ठीक है, indirect expenses. ठीक है, so this is the one. ठीक है, so basically they generally help us to find out they are also known as income and expenditure statement. Cash flow statements आपका, ठीक है, these are आपका as per accounting standard 3 and Indian accounting standard 7. ठीक है, mandatory in nature and their format is generally given in these particular accounting standard. So these are all about the inflow and outflow of cash. And we have to further, like they are further categorized among the three different areas: operating activities, financing activities, and investing activities. So like whenever companies they prepare cash flow statement, they have to prepare according to accounting standard 3 and Indian accounting standard 7. और वहां पे ये बाइफर्केशन आपका ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज, दीज आर द कोर रेवेन्यू जनरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज. फाइनेंसिंग आपका, ठीक है, विच लाइक एक्टिविटीज विच विल डायरेक्टली इम्पैक्ट द कंपनीज लायबिलिटी एंड इक्विटी, लाइक इश्यू ऑफ शेयर्स और आपका रीपेमेंट ऑफ एनी डेट एंड ऑल, ठीक है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ डिविडेंड एंड ऑल. इन्वेस्टिंग एक्टिविटीज आपका विच जनरली इंक्रीज द operational capabilities of the organization, like purchase of property, plants, equipments, goodwill, copyright, patents and all. Okay, or proceed from the sale of property, plants, equipments, goodwill and all. Okay, so they generally comes under this one. Statement of changes in equity if applicable, and explanatory note आपका, so that is the one. It is also known as note to accounts आपका. Okay, so these are the areas which we generally need to prepare, or a company or especially a joint stock company, they need to prepare as per the Companies Act 2013 itself. In case of a banking company, these things are generally driven by the BR Act 1949 and section is 29. ठीक है, so ये सारी चीजें आपका जो इसके अंदर आती हैं. So financial statements आपका, ठीक है, with respect to 1% company or small company or a dormant company and a startup company may not include in the cash flow statement. 1% company, small and dormant company have been defined in the Companies Act 13, while startup companies are recognized by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade after him. So they do not have to prepare the cash flow statement, rest are applicable to them also. Section 129 of Companies Act 2013, जहाँ पे this जो आपका बैलेंस शीट, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट या कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट्स के फॉर्मेट से अदर्स या मैंडेटरीली इनको प्रेजेंट करने का बात किया गया. ठीक है, वेयर द कंपनी हैज वन और मोर subsidiaries, associate company, joint ventures, it sell in addition to financial statement, prepare a consolidated financial statement of the company and of all the subsidiaries in the same form and manner as that of it owns. ठीक है, so that is something आपका जैसे होल्डिंग कंपनी है, like we can take an example of Reliance Industries. ठीक है, so Reliance Industries इसके नीचे बहुत सारी होल्डिंग कंपनी, तो Reliance Industry का एक सिंगल और इसके अलावा जितने भी उसके एसोसिएट या सब्सिडरीज हैं विल बी रिक्वायरिंग डिफरेंट आपका वन कंसोलिडेटेड फॉर ऑल द सब्सिडरीज एंड एसोसिएट एंड वन फॉर रिलायंस आपका. ठीक है, हाउ दे आर मैनेजिंग these particular companies and all. ठीक है, so now whenever we prepare our final accounts or whenever we do accountings, we have to follow some concepts and conventions of accountancy. ठीक है, तो ये आपका बहुत बार आप लोगों ने पढ़े भी होंगे, मे बी मोस्टली इन केस ऑफ AFM सब्जेक्ट आपका. So here we have a list. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे in if you'll open your BFM आपका ABM book आपका, ठीक है, you'll see they have exactly mentioned as that, ठीक है, but it does not mean कि they are not going to ask question around these one. They expect कि candidate they know these particular thing from their past, means आपका JIB का जो AFM सब्जेक्ट है, बिकॉज वहाँ पे काफी डिटेल में ये चीजें आपका बताई गई हैं, ठीक है. सो वी हैव लाइक whenever we prepare some concept, like let's say if we are doing accounting for XYZ Limited, okay, so XYZ Limited, so suppose that this XYZ Limited which is started by Mr. X आपका, ठीक है, so they started this particular one with X plus Y, suppose that, okay, they started this particular company with 5 crore rupees. So now there is a concept called money measurement concept, okay, so there is a concept called entity concept which generally separate company from their owners आपका, ठीक है, money contributed by owners which is liability on the firm, and from this taken liability itself we create assets आपका, ठीक है. This is the basic आपका things. Now while we do the accounting, ठीक है, every transaction will be recorded in the name of XYZ Limited, ठीक है. तो इस XYZ में आपका जो भी transactions आपके होंगे, anything which can be measured into money that will be part of the books of XYZ Limited, ठीक है. कोई भी ऐसी चीज जो आपका financial character में जिसको मापा जा सकता है, ठीक है, that will be part of the accounts. Anything which cannot be measured into money that will not part of our books, ठीक है. So अब we have, while we prepare the accounts, ठीक है, इस पर्टिकुलर कंपनी के लिए, सो वी हैव टू फॉलो दीज पर्टिकुलर कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड कन्वेंशंस, ठीक है. सो कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड कन्वेंशंस लाइक एक्रूल कॉन्सेप्ट आपका, ठीक है, एक्रूल कॉन्सेप्ट ये हमने बहुत बार डिस्कस किया है आपका, ठीक है. सो एक्रूल कॉन्सेप्ट इज बेसिकली इट इज लाइक जो डेट ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन है, वी रिकॉर्ड थिंग्स बेस्ड ऑन डेट ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन, ठीक है. लेट्स से वी डिड अ सेल to like XYZ, they did sale to ABC आपका on 1st of May 2025, and they are going to receive that amount on, suppose that based on bill of exchange after 60 days. We will record that particular transaction on 1st of May itself, ठीक है. In our books that entry will be happen on this, ठीक है. जैसे आपका as a banker we have given loan to a customer, ठीक है, so we will account that particular one as a जो भी आपका डेट ऑफ डिसबर्समेंट आपका होगा वहां पे, ठीक है, और एग्रीमेंट के हिसाब से वट एवर द डेट इट इज, ठीक है. एंड नाउ कस्टमर इज गोइंग टू मेक द पेमेंट्स ऑन EMIs, तो वो आपका जैसे से आते रहेंगे, ठीक है. तो वी विल डू अकाउंटिंग ऑन एक्रूल बेसिस. इन केस ऑफ NPA, when that customer become non performing, then in that particular case you have to apply the cash basis, ठीक है. As you will receive the money, accordingly you have to account that particular one, ठीक है. तो usually we follow आपका accrual basis, ठीक है. So another one is consistency concept. If we are using any method, it should be followed constantly, ठीक है. So basically let's say if you are using written down value method to account the depreciation on your आपका capital asset, ठीक है. जैसे कोई मशीन है उस पर depreciation, आप उसके लिए एक कोई भी मेथड यूज करो, सो इट इज सजेस्टेड कि दैट मेथड शुड बी फॉलोड रेगुलरली, ठीक है. और फॉर इन्वेंट्री वैल्यूएशन इफ यू आर यूजिंग FIFO मेथड, तो इट शुड बी फॉलोड आपका थ्रू आउट द अकाउंटिंग पीरियड और थ्रू आउट द पीरियड. If you are making any changes and if that change have some sort of material effect, that should be disclosed in your note to accounts, ठीक है. Next one आपका going concern. तो business is a going concern, ठीक है. As the transaction will occur, accordingly you have to record. You cannot do accounting for आपका the whole life of that particular one, or else आपका जैसे business which generally known as a kind of a going concern, जैसे 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 transaction होते जाएंगे, you cannot decide the life of that particular one, ठीक है. Prudence आपका, it is also known as your आपका that concept of realizations, ठीक है. So it is something कि anything's conservatism आपका, ठीक है. हाँ, it is prudence is something आपका, sorry, it is related to your realizations, ठीक है, और expected losses that should be account आपका immediately, and expected profit that should be avoided आपका, ठीक है. That is आपका prudence concept, ठीक है. Separate entity concept. Business is a separate entity. This is a separate economic unit which is created by law. Law is Companies Act 2013, and every transaction will be accounted in the name of business आपका, not in the name of owners or proprietors, ठीक है. Money measurement concept. Anything which can be measured into money that will be part of your accounts. Rest आपका we have to ignore, ठीक है. Or we will not account non-financial characters and all. जैसे health of proprietor is important for business, but we are not going to account that particular one. Correct है? Then we have stable monetary units आपका ठीक है. Basically this is something linked with the आपका overall the pricing things and all ठीक है, उससे related है. Cost concept आपका we account things on the basis of cost आपका ठीक है, purchase cost basically. जैसे let's say we purchase of machinery worth rupees 5 lakh, so that will be the cost. अब उसका future price क्या होता है, if the market price change and all will not change our books, ठीक है, that will be accounted on the basis of the cost which company has paid for that particular machinery itself, right? Conservatism आपका again it is conservatism कि expected profit to be avoided and आपका your expected losses like provisioning, depreciation, so that we have to do in this case. ठीक है, dual aspect of accountancy, that is something related to every debit has a corresponding equal credit. ठीक है, accounting period concept आपका 1st April to 31st March, that we have to follow. ठीक है, realization concept, that is something कि जब तक कोई चीज realize नहीं होती, ठीक है, let's say we cannot account the expectations. ठीक है, we have XYZ that have done some sale to ABC. Now ABC is legally liable to pay for that particular one, then only you will account that particular one. ठीक है, मैचिंग कॉन्सेप्ट आपका ठीक है, एंड फुल डिस्क्लोजर्स. ठीक है, सो मैचिंग कॉन्सेप्ट बिकॉज वी आर फॉलोइंग ड्यूल एस्पेक्ट ऑफ अकाउंटेंसी, डेबिट इक्वल टू क्रेडिट, एंड आपका फुल डिस्क्लोजर कॉन्सेप्ट, anything which has material effect it should be disclosed, or even if you follow the accounting standard one itself. So there should be like it is comes under the conventions of accountancy. So every material fact should be disclosed, so stakeholders they can build their understanding around that particular one. Okay, so these are the concepts and conventions of accountancy. They might ask one question around this particular one. ठीक है, हालांकि आपका JIB के अंदर बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन इसके अराउंड पूछे जाते हैं, बट स्टिल दे कैन आस्क आपका, वो हो सकता है वो हाफ मार्क्स में या 1 मार्क्स में आपके जो बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट थे उनको आपका यहाँ पे टेस्ट कर सकते हैं. ऑलराइट गाइस, चलो नाउ accounting standards. ठीक है, so accounting standards again we have discussed these particular one. I hope you guys have read these particular one in your AFM also. ठीक है, so हर साल आपका 3 to 4 क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. ठीक है, so accounting standard are official policy documents that govern how financial transactions and events are recognized, measured, classified, present, disclosed in financial statements. So these are something like basically some to come up with some sort of your that is called uniformity in the accounts. Okay, so for that sake we have some similar set of guidelines. Okay, whenever we do anything we have to follow some methods, procedures and all. For that sake we have accounting standard. Okay, earlier what was the issue? Let's say there are 3 companies, company A, company B and company C. Okay, so company A is using method X, company B is using method Z, and company C is using methods Y. ठीक है, if I'll ask you कि which company is doing good, आपका सबसे अच्छा performance किसका है and all. ठीक है, we cannot just because each and every single company using their different method, it can be in their own interest itself. ठीक है, कि उनकी interest के हिसाब से वो method अच्छा था इसलिए they are using that particular one. So यहाँ पे बहुत सारा confusion था. So what we did, we come up with accounting standards आपका. ठीक है, now all the 3 companies they are preparing their accounts as per these particular standards. So whenever you prepare your books, so you have to follow these particular ones. So we have some sort of uniformity in our books, all the 3 companies, different companies and all. So based on this particular one, because all the books are prepared based on these particular grounds or these particular principles, so now we can easily compare among these 3 companies and all. ठीक है, तो एक यूनिफॉर्मिटी आपका जो यहाँ पे हमें देखने के लिए मिला. So it is आपका formulated by ASB, Accounting Standard Board of India. ठीक है, so Accounting Standard Board आपका of ICAI, which is kind of a आपका self regulatory organization. ठीक है, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in 1977, aimed at harmonizing accounting practices across India, considering total laws, business practices and international standards, which is आपका usually it is related to IFRS. We have IFRS and we have GAAP, but usually most of the countries they generally use आपका IFRS. Their objective is to reduce the discrepancies in financial reporting enhance compatibility, and assist user in making informed decision. Okay, so we have some sort of uniformity, and every company they are using same standards, and while they're preparing their books they are using same things, same guidelines and all, so we can have some sort of आपका uniformity, and it will help stakeholders to make or to judge that particular company or to make their decision as well, right? So now international financial reporting standard IFRS, they are like worldwide सबसे ज़्यादा यूज होते हैं. गैप इज जनरली यूज्ड इन यूएस, आपका यूएस या अदर्स एरियाज में सबसे ज़्यादा गैप यूज होता है. अदरवाइज रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड दे यूज आपका IFRS. ठीक है. So developed by International Accounting Standard Board, IFRS is a globally recognized framework for preparing financial statements. ठीक है. Indian Accounting Standard आपका, ठीक है. Now we have Indian Accounting Standards also. ठीक है. So India adopted IFRS in the form of Indian Accounting Standard with effective from 1st of April 2017. ठीक है, जहाँ पे companies का valuation is it is applicable to all listed companies and unlisted companies with a net worth of 500 crore rupees and more. ठीक है, earlier it was 250 crores आपका, later on government increased this particular one to आपका 500 crores. तो ऐसी companies जिनका overall net worth is 500 crore and above, so where in that particular case your your Indian accounting standards will be applicable, whether it is a case of listed company or unlisted company, okay? Including their subsidiaries, joint ventures and associate. There are some like small companies, insurance, banking and NBFCs, they are excluded from this particular one, okay? Indian accounting standard aligned with IFRS but include modification to suit banking legal India's legal and economic environment. Indian accounting standard is issued by ICAI and notified by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs based on the recommendations of NFRA, National Financial Reporting Authority. In case of the conflict between Act and Indian accounting standard, the provision of Act take precedence. ठीक है, तो अगर कभी ऐसा होता है किसी एक्ट और आपका इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स के बीच में कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, सो वी विल बी कंसिडरिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर एक्ट. ठीक है, रिलेटेड आपका जो भी, जैसे वो आपका बैंकिंग कंपनी एक्ट से रिलेटेड या अदर्स इसमें या कोई भी अदर गवर्निंग एरियाज के अंदर, सो वी विल बी कंसिडरिंग एक्ट आपका ओवर द इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स. ठीक है, सो दीज स्टेटमेंट्स आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वन. आपको थोड़ा सा इनको रिवाइज करना होगा. ठीक है, वी विल बी प्रैक्टिसिंग वन मोर सेट अराउंड दिस पर्टिकुलर यूनिट इटसेल्फ where we will be discussing or practicing these areas. ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं guys. Now it comes to the final statements. ठीक है, final accounts, sorry. ठीक है, so as we discussed, section 128 of Companies Act 2013 which mandate few reports आपका, and section 129 which generally mandate preparation of or the format of these particular account. Okay? So when it comes to the final accounts, there are 3 mandatory documents. There are overall 5 and 7, but when it comes to the reporting part, so we have 3 major, as we discussed earlier also. One is balance sheet, another one is profit and loss account, and third one is cash flow statement. Every company the qualification in everything, they have to maintain these particular ones. So when it comes to the balance sheet, the balance sheet ka that equation is, what was the equation? आपका asset equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. ठीक है, so this is the equation. Why this equation and why it is equal? Why asset are equal to liabilities plus equity and others? Sources of funds, application of funds, that we have earlier discussed. ठीक है, so now if you'll see the format आपका, ठीक है, format of balance sheet, name of the company, balance sheet as on 31st March 2024-25, whatever the year is. ठीक है, so now these are the heads आपका. ठीक है, so first equity and liabilities. So first we have equity and liabilities which start with shareholders fund. Shareholders funds means आपका proprietors money in that particular business आपका, ठीक है, which include share capital, reserve and surplus, money received against share warrant. I hope you guys understand these one. ठीक है, share capital आपका, it is also known as risk capital, money contributed by the core owners or आपका proprietors और आपका the other shareholders. ठीक है, reserve and surplus, profit from the past. ठीक है, and money received against share warrants आपका. ठीक है, it can be share premium or the other one. ठीक है, share application money, second one is share application money pending allotment if any. ठीक है, which is also known as your paid up capital. ठीक है, sorry, called up capital, ठीक है. Then we have non-current liabilities. Non-current liabilities, these are obligations on the company on the long term, ठीक है, which include like आपका long term debt, bonds and all, they generally comes under this one, ठीक है. जैसे long term borrowings, deferred tax liabilities, other long term liabilities, long term provisions and all, ठीक है. Then we have current liabilities. These are the obligations for the accounting period itself, ठीक है, which are payable within 1 year आपका or within the same accounting period. So we have short term borrowings, trade payables आपका, bills payables, ठीक है, other current liabilities and short term provision and total of that particular one, ठीक है. The first side of the balance sheet आपका liabilities plus equity. Now the assets, when it comes to the assets, we have non-current asset, ठीक है, and we have current asset, ठीक है. Non-current asset which will give us benefit in long term, ठीक है, like we purchase a machinery whose economic life or useful life is supposed at 15 years. So that machinery will be part of your balance sheet for next 15 years. That will be part of your non-current asset. Property, goodwill, trademarks, patents, all these are generally categorized under the आपका non-current asset, ठीक है. Current assets आपका जैसे bills, receivables, cash और अदर्स आपका मार्केटेबल सिक्योरिटीज इन ऑल, ठीक है. सो फिक्स्ड एसेट आपका, ठीक है, टेंजिबल, इंटेंजिबल, ठीक है. टेंजिबल विच वी कैन टच, इंटेंजिबल विच वी कांट टच, ठीक है. टेंजिबल विच इंक्लूड प्रॉपर्टी, प्लांट्स, इक्विपमेंट्स आपका, एंड इंटेंजिबल आपका गुडविल, ट्रेडमार्क, पेटेंट, कॉपीराइट्स इन ऑल, ठीक है. वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस आपका, वी हैव इंटेंजिबल एसेट अंडर डेवलपमेंट, एनी रिसर्च वर्क एंड ऑल, ठीक है. नॉन करेंट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आपका, and we have deferred tax assets, deferred tax liabilities here, and now it is deferred tax asset आपका, ठीक है. Long term deferred tax is something, it can be asset, it can be liability, because due to income tax or like, see, we have differences in like to recognize income, we have different ground. As per income tax act it is different, as per आपका financial reportings और accounting standard is different. So due to these differences, sometime what we face कि there is a difference in आपका overall tax liability, ठीक है. So it will become asset आपका when deferred tax will become asset. Let's say for the accounting period 24-25, your liability tax liability was आपका suppose that 5 crores and we have paid 7 crore rupees taxes. So 2 crore is additional that will be part of here, ठीक है. When it will become आपका liability, it is a vice versa case. Let's say your liability was 7 crore and you have paid only taxes for 6 crore. So 1 crore will be part of your liability itself. So that is the case, ठीक है. Long term loan and advances given to other companies, ठीक है, आपका other non-current asset, ठीक है. So then we have current asset आपका, current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and equivalents, ठीक है, short term loans and advances given to others, ठीक है, and other current asset, and this is the total, ठीक है. So when it comes to the your balance sheet, so it is also known as position statement, and the equation is this: assets are equal to liabilities plus owner's equity, ठीक है. These comes under your liability plus equity side, and these comes under your asset side and all, ठीक है. So I hope this is clear. If you have any doubt, please do let me know. I'll try to help you out with those particular queries. Now we'll come to this is like for the how we as a banker, how we like whenever, or as an analyst, whenever you analyze the balance sheet and all, so this is the format which we generally use आपका, ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे balance sheet आपका, ठीक है, we generally basically summarize those particular information under this. Liabilities आपका, this sources of funds of the company, and आपका assets of the company, ठीक है. So tangible आपका long term liabilities, current liabilities and provision, ठीक है. We have fixed asset, current asset and net current asset, ठीक है. So this is for the analysis purpose, ठीक है. जब हम लोग analysis के लिए use करते हैं, we use something like this, ठीक है. Usually the format is something like this, ठीक है. जब companies आपका actually while they prepare their balance sheet and all, they have to prepare according to this particular things, ठीक है. But for analysis purpose, we need a kind of a summary of that particular one. So we use something like this, ठीक है, जहाँ पे a balance sheet when analyzed by a credit officer would look like follows, ठीक है. जैसे these are the liabilities, these are the assets, ठीक है. So कुछ इस तरीके से आपका, ठीक है, जैसे net worth, then term loans आपका, ठीक है, term liabilities, sorry, ठीक है, term liabilities, reserve and surplus, paid up capital, ठीक है, this is the one. And assets आपका total current assets, ठीक है, आपका net working capital, and we have fixed asset, other non current asset, ठीक है. So short term uses and long term uses, based on this, when companies they approach us for any kind of let's say if they are using they are approaching for any sort of working capital, so we will use these one. Okay? If we will use these particular one, if they are applying for some sort of long term debt, term loans and all, we will use these particular components. Okay? So this is something which we generally use for the overall as a banker. This is like if some organization is approaching for the लोन, तो हम उनके बैलेंस शीट को कुछ इस तरीके से कैटेगराइज करके आपका, बट एक्चुअल द फॉर्मेट इज दिस ओनली. ठीक है, ये आपका एग्जैक्ट फॉर्मेट है. एंड these are the areas which are very important for examination purpose also. So I hope everybody have the basic understanding around this one. अगर नहीं है so I'll request you कि please इनको थोड़ा सा आपका ध्यान रखिएगा. ठीक है. Now next statement is your profit and loss account statement. Okay? Then we'll come to the cash flow statement. Okay? So profit and loss account आपका format of profit and loss account. Okay? Name of the company, profit and loss account for the year ended 31st March 2025 आपका. So it include like आपका particulars, revenue from operation आपका. ठीक है, which is also known as gross profit. ठीक है. Then we have other income. ठीक है, so these are the two credit side basically in that particular one. ठीक है. Then total revenue is 1 plus 2. ठीक है. So basically if you ask me a simple equation of the net profit. ठीक है. So profit and loss account, which generally get us know about the your profit and loss account. With this we generally get to know about the net profit, and net profit is basically your gross profit, ठीक है, which is your revenue from operation plus आपका other income. ठीक है, other income. ठीक है, other income minus other income like your dividend received, commission received, these kind of areas they generally comes under other income. ठीक है, minus आपका indirect expenses. ठीक है, indirect expenses आपका. So this is the basic formula to solve your नेट प्रॉफिट. ठीक है, तो नेट प्रॉफिट हम लोग कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं, कुछ इस तरीके से आपका. ठीक है दोस्तों, अब देखो यहाँ पे दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट आपका. ठीक है, दिस इज बेसिकली द क्रेडिट साइड एंड दिस इज बेसिकली द डेबिट साइड. ठीक है, सो व्हेन विल बी योर नेट प्रॉफिट, आपका नेट प्रॉफिट का सिचुएशन कब होगा, when your credit side is greater than your debit side. ठीक है, if there is a reverse case आपका, ठीक है, your debit side is greater than your credit side, it is the situation of net losses आपका. ठीक है, so now when it comes to the debit side or the आपका indirect expenses, so this include these many areas. ठीक है, so कौन से जैसे expenses we have आपका cost of material consumed. ठीक है, purchase of stock. Then we have changes in inventories. ठीक है, then we have employee benefits आपका. ठीक है, depreciation, other expenses. ठीक है, then total expenses. ठीक है, this is the one. Profit before exceptional and extraordinary items. ठीक है, then we have exceptional items, profit before this, extraordinary items, tax expenses, current and deferred, profit and loss for the period of continuing operations. Then we have profit and loss from discontinuing operations, tax expenses for discontinuing operation and others. Basically, these are the areas which generally comes under this one. ठीक है, so this is the core area आपका. ठीक है, so while actual बेसिक आपका कैसे चलता है कि इन केस ऑफ लाइक जैसे फर्स्ट वी प्रिपेयर द ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट्स, द सीक्वेंस इज जर्नल एंट्रीज आपका इनिशियल, देन वी प्रिपेयर लेजर अकाउंट्स. ठीक है, फॉर ईच एंड एवरी इंडिविजुअल अकाउंट वी क्रिएट द लेजर अकाउंट्स. देन फ्रॉम दोस लेजर अकाउंट्स वी क्रिएट अ समरी दैट इज कॉल्ड योर आपका that is generally known as trial balance. From trial balance we shift data from trade to trading accounts or आपका profit and loss and final accounts. So trading accounts which generally get us know or which generally help us to find out the gross profit or losses made by that particular company. Then after the trading accounts we prepare your आपका profit and loss account. ठीक है, then whatever net profit we have earned, we create one account that is called profit and loss appropriation account, and with that particular one then finally we transfer reserve and surplus to balance sheet. तो this is the entire sequence आपका. ठीक है, तो ये थोड़ा सा sequence है जिनको आप लोग ध्यान रखेंगे. ठीक है, so for the आपका purposes like जैसे credit monitoring या आपका appraisal purposes. ठीक है, so हम लोग So the format prescribed under East 12 is credit monitoring arrangement under the bank used to report sections of large credit proposals to RBI. Still serve as a useful guidelines of this. जैसे gross sales आपका ठीक है, less GST and all, ठीक है, net sales cost आपका, this is the one, ठीक है. So operating profit, interest, तो कुछ इस तरीके से you can use this particular one, profit after tax तक you will be reaching, ठीक है. So this is generally for the analysis purpose, but the actual format is something like this, ठीक है. तो profit आपका balance sheet, then आपका profit and loss account. Now the third mandatory document or the report is आपका, or the final account is your cash flow statement, ठीक है. Cash flow statement which generally help us with the inflows and outflows of cash, ठीक है. Inflows and outflows of cash. Okay, just a minute, huh? All right. So now the next one is cash flow statements. आपका ठीक है. Cash flow statement, which is all about the inflow and outflow of cash. ठीक है. So basically, as like this is a part of the like three mandatory documents. So one is cash flow. It generally shows cash at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. ठीक है. So from the different sources आपका, and sources are categorized among three part. Your आपका operating activities, financing activities and investing activities, ठीक है. Essential for evaluating an enterprise ability to generate cash and cash equivalent, and the timing and certainty of these particular cash flows, ठीक है. Cash in and cash out of that particular business and all, and they are generally part of this particular one, ठीक है. So basically operating activities, investing activities and financing activities. This is very important one again, ठीक है. So इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. So operating activities, these are the core revenue generating activities of the business, ठीक है, like sales and purchase and income and expenses around the sales and purchase, ठीक है. Then second one is like if you'll ask me some examples of operating activities, आपका let's say cash inflow from operating activities is sales. Cash outflow from operating activities is any purchase of raw material, आपका salary, rent, other expenses आपका, ठीक है, insurance premium paid, और these are the areas. Dividend receive is आपका operating activities, ठीक है, inflow, ठीक है. Then if it comes to the another one, that is investing activities, which include investing activities which include cash inflow or outflow from आपका let's say purchase of property, plants, equipments, that is cash outflow from investing activities, ठीक है. Purchase of shares of some other company, investing activities. Outflow, inflow, proceed from sale of property, plants, equipments, goodwill. जैसे हमने कोई अपना ऑफिस सेल आउट किया, ठीक है, वी सोल्ड सम मशीनरी, तो उससे जो भी आउटकम हो रहा है दैट इज जनरली पार्ट ऑफ योर इन्वेस्टिंग एक्टिविटीज, ठीक है. वी सोल्ड द शेयर ऑफ दैट इन्वेस्टेड कंपनी ऑल्सो, ठीक है. Financing activities, they generally make changes in the organizations or the promoters equity and the liability, ठीक है. Let's say company issue shares worth rupees 5 crore during that particular accounting period, ठीक है. So that is generally categorized under the cash inflow from financing activities, ठीक है. हमने 5 करोड़ रुपए के शेयर्स इशू किए या 50 करोड़ रुपए के शेयर इशू किए, तो that will be come under the cash inflow from your investing आपका financing activities, ठीक है. We did some sort of buyback of shares of 10 crore rupees, तो that is cash outflow from आपका financing activities, ठीक है. तो ये जो areas है, you have to build your understanding around those particular one, ठीक है. तो जैसे यहाँ पे कुछ लिखा है, cash received or expended for conducting business operation including expenses, therefore on netting the expense from receipt, the resultant figure should be positive for company to retain to remain solvent. ठीक है, investment cash flow, ठीक है, expenses other than the operation activities. ठीक है, so basically these are आपका property plants equipments goodwill and all. ठीक है, आपका परचेज और सेल. ठीक है, फाइनेंसिंग एक्टिविटीज आप रिलेटिंग टू कैपिटल एंड डेट आपका, दैट मींस व्हिच मेड अ डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट ऑन इक्विटी एंड the debt. जैसे we took a term loans worth rupees 10 crore, so that is inflow from financing activity. ठीक है, we issue shares, inflow from financing activity. We pay off some debt आपका like bonds और आपका any prior loan and all. ठीक है, that is आपका outflow from financing activities and all, that generally comes under this one. ठीक है, uses of cash flow statement. अब देखो यहाँ पे this is the uses and this is very basic one. कहाँ पे हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं इन स्टेटमेंट्स को आपका. इफ यू आर हैविंग एनी डाउट रिलेटेड टू एनी एरिया, प्लीज डू लेट मी नो, सो आई ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन यू दैट वन. ठीक है, so cash flow statement speak about the alignment between profitability and net cash flow. ठीक है, they speak about the deepness of the pocket in the business, how the cash is circulating in the organization. ठीक है, see, they speak about the accuracy of past assessment of future cash flows in the term of amount, timing, certainty of future cash flows, thereby provide insight into operational efficiencies. They speak about the acceptability of income accounted as per the accrual concept. So accrual concept का अभी हमने discussion किया था. ठीक है, about the ability of a business to meet in time a specific and sure cash outflow like payments of an ad hoc loans और retirement of a sense LC आपका letter of credit. ठीक है, तो ये बहुत ही आपका जो एरिया है, इसके ऊपर पूरा एक यूनिट आपका हुआ करता था AFM के अंदर, अगर आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा, और हमेशा क्वेश्चन रहते हैं, तो आई होप कि सभी ने इसको बहुत अच्छे से प्रैक्टिस किया होगा. ठीक है, नाउ फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट. फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट्स आर ऑप्शनल इन नेचर. ठीक है, सो फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट इज बेसिकली दिस इज आपका सोर्सेज ऑफ फंड्स एंड एप्लीकेशन ऑफ फंड्स. ठीक है, लेट्स से through the cash flow statement we generated some cash, how we are using that particular one, that is your आपका fund flow statement. ठीक है, so even you can compare like cash flow statement is within accounting period. ठीक है, at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year. ठीक है, but cash flow fund flow statement is basically from comparison between two financial year, one accounting year, another accounting year, and how that was generally the overall आपका पोजीशन ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर एंटरप्राइज इज चेंजिंग. ठीक है, पोजीशन मींस आपका एसेट लायबिलिटीज एंड ऑल. ठीक है, उनमें क्या चेंजेस आ रहा है ईयर ऑन ईयर बेसिस पे आपका, दैट इज योर कैश फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट. ठीक है, सो फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट एनालाइज द चेंजेस इन द फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन बिटवीन टू बैलेंस शीट डेट. इट ट्रैक्स सोर्सेज एंड यूजेस ऑफ फंड्स by analyzing आपका increase liability increase means sources of funds. ठीक है, asset increase means आपका uses of funds. ठीक है, liability decrease और asset decrease also indicate uses of sources respectively. ठीक है, तो basically यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, let's say there is a comparison आपका, जैसे आपका financial year 2000 और accounting year ले लेते हैं. ठीक है, 2023-24 this was the position of your asset liabilities and equity, and in accounting year 2024-25 this was the आपका position. ठीक है, so position statement के अंदर आपका how we are making changes. ठीक है, what were the sources and how we use those particular funds, that is application of funds आपका. ठीक है, these are not mandatory in nature. जैसे हमने पढ़ा बैलेंस शीट, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट एंड कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट. ठीक है, कंपनीज दे हैव टू हैव प्रिपेयर दोस पर्टिकुलर वन, बट कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट, फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट आर जनरली फॉर द इंटरनल पर्पस. ठीक है, जो पिछले डॉक्यूमेंट्स थे और पिछले रिपोर्ट्स आपके थे, पिछले मींस आपका बैलेंस शीट, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट एंड कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट. ठीक है, they are used by the internal as well as the external stakeholders. ठीक है, like investors and all, to make analysis about that particular business. ठीक है, cash is not typically considered a use of fund to avoid confusion with the cash flow statement. ठीक है, this statement shows how fund were sourced and utilized, means sources of funds, and आपका uses of funds, especially highlighting changes in net working capital. If long-term use exceed long-term sources, net working capital will decrease, indicating for fund diversion. ठीक है, it covered one accounting year comparing two years and balance sheet and all. ठीक है, so basically what we are doing in this particular case, we are comparing things आपका between two accounting पे. ठीक है, so see in case of accounting, in case of cash flow statement, ठीक है, we have things where these are the mandatory parts of the books आपका, ठीक है, जो आपको बनाने होंगे, and आपका we have internal and external users, they are going to use these particular one, ठीक है. So this is about the what was the beginning of the money and what was the source आपका money at the beginning of that particular accounting period and ending आपका, and how like external stakeholders means, let's say as a banker, if we are giving loan to some company and all, so we can use those particular one for the analysis purpose. Like if we are making some sort of decision around the working capital requirements, or companies like are they going to meet their liquidity things and not, okay, so that is generally part of this one. But in case of fund flow statement, this is generally आपका a broad analysis between two accounting period आपका, ठीक है, just as I mentioned here also, so that generally comes under this one, ठीक है. Thank you, Arun sir. हाँ, okay. चलो. So I hope you got this particular one. Now the next part is आपका next part, which is like this is can be your homework. ठीक है. आप you can easily build understanding around this particular one. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे ऐसे आपका no concept is involved. ठीक है. Purpose of analysis of financial statement by bankers. ठीक है. So assessment of performance and financial position. We are using these final accounts and all for the आपका assessment of performance of that particular company. So if they are asking for some sort of loan and all, this is so simple, na? Like if a company approaching for some sort of finance, आपका project finance and all, so we can based on these particular document, we can analyze their current position, or we can have some sort of comparison आपका, that comparison will help us आपका to build our understanding, or during the loan appraisal or that the other things which we have discussed in our previous session. Projection of future performance, if they are asking for some sort of money, are they able to repay that particular debt or not? So based on this this is generally comes under the fundamental analysis of the company, and we evaluate company based on their balance sheet, profit and loss account, and आपका cash flow statements. Detecting danger signals if any. Assessment of a credit requirements. If they'll ask any question around this particular one, for sure they'll ask around these 4 pointers. So just these are very basic one, understandable. So please go through this one. Now the next part of this particular unit is ratio analysis, which is generally part of the interpretations. I hope you guys remember whenever we study the accounts, so it has a journey. So that journey start with the, I hope everybody knows about this. So first one, we have journal entries. This is the very first entry where we record or account things in a chronological order. Chronological order means आपका date wise, amount wise. Every transaction which has a financial character, that will be part of your journal entry. We are recording those particular one in a chronological order, date wise, amount wise. Then next, after journal, like after recording all these financial transaction, we prepare ledger accounts. For sales, we have a different ledger. For each and every individual account, we have a different ledger account. For purchase, we have a different ledger. For capital, we have a different ledger. After this, these are the ledger accounts. We prepare a summary of all the ledger account. Summary of all the ledger account, which is generally known as trial balance. Trial balance, and the debit and credit column of trial balance should be equal. After trial balance, we prepare your trading accounts. So trading accounts, trading accounts which generally help us to find out the gross profit or losses. Trading account which generally help us to prepare gross profit and losses. Then आपका with this we prepare profit and loss account. Profit and loss account which help us to find out the net profit or losses. Then we prepare आपका balance sheet. Then after this we prepare balance sheet and we prepare आपका cash flow statements. So this is the entire journey आपका. So this is the entire journey of the books आपका. तो पूरा इस तरीके से रहेगा. Now that means this things comes under the recording, this comes under recording, this comes under the classifying. What we are doing, we are classifying. This is comes under the summarizing. This is comes under the summarizing, एंड दीज थिंग्स आपका, ठीक है, सो बेसिकली दीज थ्री थिंग्स आपका, दीज थ्री थिंग्स दे कम्स अंडर रिपोर्टिंग, ठीक है, सो दे दीज थिंग्स कम्स अंडर द रिपोर्टिंग. सो सी आपका रिकॉर्डिंग, क्लासिफाइंग, समराइजिंग एंड आपका रिपोर्टिंग, ठीक है, दीज आर द पार्ट ऑफ दिस. देन आफ्टर द फाइनल स्टेप इज योर इंटरप्रिटेशन. ठीक, इंटरप्रिटेशन कैन बी डन बाय द internal person of that particular company, means आपका managers and all, ठीक है, to make decision about the businesses, or it can be done by these external stakeholders. ठीक है, let's say as a stock market investor, if I have to compare between companies आपका और among companies, ठीक है, so now अब देखो क्या है ना, we have 2000 3000 companies listed in BSE NSE, ठीक है, तो अब if I'll go through all these particular documents and all, ठीक है, of all these companies, let's say we have 5 companies which we shortlisted, and if we go for the 5 companies itself, तो इनका बैलेंस शीट और अदर्स ये सब चीजें, सो एवरीवन डू नॉट नो अबाउट द एक्चुअल यूजेस ऑफ दीज थिंग्स, ठीक है, हमें मतलब बहुत ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज आपकी यहाँ पे होती हैं, ठीक है, so for that sake we have interpretation, and interpretation we have some sort of financial modeling which include your ratio analysis. ठीक है, ratio analysis, like we have two type of the final one is interpretation where we use आपका ratios, ठीक है, so ratio analysis we have traditional, ठीक है, earlier we have to use आपका traditional, ठीक है, traditional, and we have आपका functional, ठीक है, so functional आपका nowadays we use only functional, ठीक है, so what we did some sort of financial modeling, ठीक है, कि if you want to invest in a company's stock, so you have this functional, that means your functional use of that particular data is investment, ठीक है, and a market, you want to check the market perspective about that particular company, so for that sake if you want to check like we have आपका EPS, earning per share, we have आपका price to earning ratio, if you are a dividend oriented investor आपका we have DPS, so just apply these particular formulas, ठीक है, उन्होंने क्या बोला, you do not have to go through the entire documents and all, ठीक है, you just have to apply the formula, like let's say if you want to check the earning per share, तो EPS is equal to क्या होता है, EPS is equal to आपका profit after tax minus dividend divide by weighted number of shares, ठीक है, weighted number of shares, ठीक है, so this is the formula. अब you just have to pick the numbers from profit and loss account, आपका बैलेंस शीट इक्विटी से नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स, एंड डिविडेंड आपका अगेन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट, you'll get to know what is the EPS of this company and आपका another company or another company. Based on that particular comparison itself, you can make investment in that particular one. ठीक है, correct है guys, understood? So this is the sequence. So now with this particular one, we generally go through for these all right. So अब यहाँ पे ratio analysis, ठीक है, this is an overview. Functional, nowadays we use functional ratios, ठीक है, traditional means आपका we have some sort of comparison and all, ठीक है, so functional में use basis, ठीक है, if you want to check the liquidity, so we have liquidity ratios, if you want to check the solvency of that particular business, you have solvency or long term ratios, ठीक है, if you want to check the profitability, you have profitability ratios like आपका gross profit, net profit, operating profit and all, ठीक है, if you want to check the other areas like activity ratio, or if you want to check the your other different one, ठीक है, so there are few ratios which are generally part of this. So ratio analysis, a key method for evaluating financial statement by comparing two figures as a percentage or proportion, ठीक है, it focus on three major areas, ठीक है, आपका जैसे liquidity ratios, these generally help us कि how much cash that particular company have, ठीक है, how they are going to meet with their short term obligations, ठीक है, liquidity they also known as short term solvency ratios, ठीक है, so what are the overall short आपका obligation and how they are going to meet these particular obligation, you'll get to know how much runway that particular company have, ठीक है, कितना पैसा है if they run the business as it is, like we have cash ratio, current ratio is equal to current asset divided by current liabilities. Now let's say your current ratio, how you will make decision, let's say this is the one current ratio आपका, current asset divided by current liabilities. Let's say we have three companies, company A, company B and company C, ठीक है, for company A their current ratio is 0.50 is to 1, ठीक है, for company B आपका their current ratio is 1.5 is to 1, And for company C, their current ratio is supposed at 10:1. Okay. Now these three companies are there. Now we have to make analysis कि which company is best managing their आपका current asset and current liabilities things. So what will be your answer? Your answer will be company B आपका, ठीक है. Now why company B? They have a best management of cash in their organization, ठीक है. Company A, they have a runway for only 6 months in their hand, ठीक है. जितने उनके, let's say if their expenses are 1 crore rupees, they have only 50 lakh rupees in their hand, ठीक है. If that means they have to make some decision, either they have to increase their sales numbers, ठीक है, or else they have to go for some sort of cost cutting and all, ठीक है, क्योंकि इनके पास सिर्फ 6 महीने का पैसा बचा हुआ है. कंपनी सी आपका, अब आपको लग रहा होगा कंपनी सी के पास बहुत सारा कैश है, ठीक है. Why this is not, why we are not picking company C? Because in this particular one, they are missing the opportunity cost. ठीक है? They require 1 rupee and they are holding 10 rupees. If they invest, like they can, the best current ratio is आपका 1.22 आपका 2. ठीक है? This is the best current ratio आपका basically which is suggested to the companies कि if your current ratio should be in between 1.2 to 2 आपका, ठीक है. But you are holding money आपका 8 rupees. You can invest that particular money. You are losing opportunity cost from the market. If you invest, you'll grow that particular money. So that's their cash management is very poor. So that's why we selected company C आपका. So these kind of decision making, we generally use these analysis and all. ठीक है. We have net working capital ratio, long term support from the current asset. ठीक है. So working capital divided by total current asset into 100 आपका. This is the formula. You just have to remember these particular formulas. I'll be coming up with one another session based on practice. One practice session I have already done. Now another practice session I'll add where we will be practicing numericals around these particular areas. For sure, each and every single ratio which is given in your book, I'm going to cover that particular one. All right, guys. So profitability ratio आपका, ठीक है. Profitability ratio like raw material consumption to cost of production ratio. So basically it is evaluate raw material cost sensitivity. ठीक है. So value of raw material consumed divided by cost of production into 100. Profit before taxes आपका, ठीक है. Measure profit before tax relative to sales. आपका profit before tax divided by net sales into 100, ठीक है. Profit after tax आपका, ठीक है. Earning relative to sales, ठीक है. Profit after tax divided by sales into 100. Then we have आपका earning before interest, taxes and आपका depreciation, taxes, depreciation and amortization, ठीक है. Earning before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization. EBITDA, ठीक है. EBITDA margin is आपका gross operating performances, EBITDA divided by net sales into 100, ठीक है. Return on capital employed आपका, ठीक है. So measure efficiency of capital uses, how we are using our resources and how they are generating income आपका for this one, ठीक है. Operating profit ratio आपका, ठीक है, where we have operating profit divided by net sales into 100, ठीक है. Sometime I hope you also heard about the net profit और आपका gross profit. So gross profit divided by net sales into 100. Net profit is आपका net profit divided by sales into 100 आपका, ठीक है. We have practiced these particular one in the session also, ठीक है. So profitability ratios. Then we have leverage ratio, solvency ratio, debt to equity, debt ratio, equity ratio, interest payout ratio, and all these generally comes under this one, ठीक है. So total outside liability to tangible net worth, which include assets, which assess the ratio of borrowed funds to owners funds आपका, ठीक है. Outside liability adjusted tangible net worth, ठीक है. So basically outside liability is basically the loan we have taken from the apart from the owners or the shareholders, ठीक है. Let's say it will include term loans or bonds or these kind of instrument, ठीक है. Owners आपका inside liabilities आपका basically that is called owners money or equity or the shareholders funds आपका, which include reserve and surplus shares, shareholders money आपका, ठीक है. Others that generally come under this. Let's say a company's liability and equity is आपका 100 crore. So out of this 100 crore, what is the contribution from the owners? Let's say it is 70, and the outside liability आपका which they have taken from loan and others, that is 30. So this is the one we generally try to make understanding ki how much money have invested by the owners of that particular company and how much they have borrowed from the outside आपका, from bank loan or आपका bonds and others, ठीक है. So that is the one, because here they do not have to pay any interest and all, and in this particular case they have to pay interest, but we have financial leverage benefit with this particular one. Okay, so that we have to build the understanding. Debt to equity ratio, total debt divided by total equity. Okay, so we have coverage ratio, ठीक है, debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, ठीक है. So debt service coverage ratio, evaluate ability to service long term debt, ठीक है. So whatever debt that company have taken, are they able to meet their debt obligations on timely basis or not, ठीक है, which include आपका जैसे interest payout or others, ठीक है. So how they are going to pay off that particular debt, और इसके अलावा उनकी कैपेसिटी है और डेट लेने की या नहीं, सो दैट जनरली हेल्प अस विद दिस, ठीक है. सो कैश एक्रूल आपका नेट प्रॉफिट प्लस नॉन कैश इक्विपमेंट्स एक्सपेंसेस, सॉरी, ठीक है, डिवाइड बाय ईटीएल आपका. देन वी हैव ग्रॉस एस डीएससीआर, ठीक है, कैश एक्रूल्स इंटरेस्ट ऑन लॉन्ग टर्म डेट डिवाइड बाय ईटीएल आपका, ठीक है, इंस्टॉलमेंट प्लस इंटरेस्ट ऑन टर्म, ईटीएल आपका, हाँ सॉरी आई जस्ट मिस दिस वन, इंस्टॉलमेंट इंटरेस्ट ऑन टर्म लोन्स आपका, ठीक है. सो दिस इज द वन बेसिकली विच वी जनरली यूज टू चेक द कवरेज रेशियो, ठीक है. वेंक्यूस रेशियो आपका, ठीक है, दिस इज समथिंग ओवरऑल प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी मेजर्स एंड ऑल, ठीक है. टर्म डेट आर which is linked with the overall solvency, ठीक है. Term debt are to be discharged over a period of time by earning of the same period. EBITDA is used to service long-term debt, and at any point of time we can assess the number of years by which at the present level of EBITDA the entire long-term debt can be wiped off, ठीक है. कितने समय में आपका, like with the current numbers and how long it will take to repay the entire debt, ठीक है. So it is आपका long-term debt divided by EBITDA, ठीक है. Bankus ratio it is called, ठीक है. Interest coverage ratio आपका, ठीक है, is to know the relation between earning and interest payout by using EBITDA divided by interest on all borrowings, ठीक है. This we use so many times, like let's say if a company is coming with some new bonds, so we generally check like this company have ability to repay that interest or not, ठीक है, and that generally we decide with the help of this one. Fixed asset coverage ratio आपका, ठीक है, is arrived at to know the value of security as number of time of debt, ठीक है. So basically written down value of the asset, fixed asset under a charge divided by outstanding in total loans, in term loans, sorry, in FA secured charges, ठीक है. Security margin coverage ratio, again written down value method, which is basically like I hope everybody is remembering those depreciation methods, ठीक है. So depreciation methods में आपका written down value method which we actually use आपका, ठीक है. We do have different method like straight line method, unit of production, sum of year digit, या इसके अलावा भी बहुत सारे, but mostly for accounting purpose we use written down value method, ठीक है. So that it is also known as declining balance method आपका. तो वो basically we are generally comparing things with that with this particular one, ठीक है. Now the final subtopic of this particular unit is related party transaction, related party, ठीक है. So what is related party आपका, which is like these can be the vendors या others parties which are associated with that particular company, or it can be some relatives of that owners, or any others आपका, ठीक है, which is linked with the company and they have some sort of, we do have some, as a company we do have some sort of transaction with them, ठीक है. So the disclosure and others that generally comes under this one. So Indian Accounting Standard 24, a related party transaction involve the transfer of resources, service and obligation between a reporting entity and related party. It can be आपका holding versus subsidiary or holding versus आपका associate, ठीक है, regardless of the pricing, ठीक है. A related party which include a person or their close family members control or jointly control the entity, have significant influence over it, ठीक है, are key management personnel of the entity or its apparent same entity. It can be it's a part of the same group as the reporting entity, like आपका holding versus associate or subsidiary, same. One is associate or joint ventures of the others, team. Both are joint ventures of some third party, team. One is a joint venture of a third entity, and the other is an associate of the third party. It is a post-employment benefits plan for reporting entity employees. It's controlled or jointly controlled by a person in आपका A and आपका 6, ठीक है, 1 in 6 आपका A और it is आपका 6, ठीक है, where it is 6 this आपका control or jointly controlled by a person, ठीक है. So this is the one. So this is the definition related to your आपका party, ठीक है. So key definition: control, power to govern financial and operating policies or benefit, joint control, contractually agreed sharing the control over an common activity, economic activity, ठीक है. Key management personnel, part of board and responsibility authority, significant influences, power to participate in financial and operating policy decision making, often gain through share ownership, statute or agreements आपका, ठीक है. So this is the one. So this is all about your आपका unit number 18. I hope you enjoy this particular discussion. Please do share your feedback into the comment section. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. ठीक है. So till your examination, ठीक है, first I'm targeting ABM subject because for BFM and BRBL we have already done so many things on our channel, ठीक है. So first for like till your examination itself, I'll be covering all the aspect आपका important concept of your ABM subject. From tomorrow onwards, like we will be discussing आपका 2 units or 3 units. Like whenever it is, let's say if there is a small unit, we can cover 2 and 3 units also as well. Okay? But if it is a long unit and it has importance, so we will give that much of time to that particular topic. Okay, guys. So I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and I'll be keep uploading recorded things and all. Okay? Evening we are on regular basis from last 23 days. I'm premiering BFM subject आपका, ठीक है. So BFM आपका, that is generally part of that one. So please go through these particular, do consume these particular content. Yeah. And if you need any help, you can connect me on Telegram. This is my Telegram ID. Okay. So I'll try my best to help you out with these particular one. All right. And please do share your feedback in the comment section just after this session, especially those who are watching in recorded form. Okay. And try to join live and you can ask your queries and all. So I can help you out with these particular things. All right, guys. So this is it from my side. Thank you for joining this session. Thank you for watching this session. Bye bye. Take care all. Have a nice day. Thank you.